Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I was born completely colorblind, so I was born with an unusual visual condition called achromatopsia. So it means that I see things in grayscale. So I've never seen yellow, I've never seen blue, I've never seen a color. So as a child, I tried to ignore the existence of color, but it was impossible for me to ignore color, because even if you don't see color, you can't ignore that color exists, because people who see color keep mentioning it every single day in daily situations, like yellow pages, Bluetooth, Greenpeace, Red Cross, Blue Tack, Red Bull, Pink Panther, the Green Card, James Brown, it's in his last name, or this huge country called Greenland. So I kept hearing the names of colors every single day, because color is an extremely social element. Also, when you use color as a code, it can be a bit confusing. Hot water and cold water sometimes is only expressed through color. Also in maps, this is fine, but if I go to Tokyo, I can get easily lost, because some maps only use color codes. And when I was trying to learn the colors of flags, I had this situation. So 3 countries share exactly the same flag. Also, when I was talking to people, if someone asked me, have you seen a man with ginger hair, blue eyes, and dressed in pink? I would have absolutely no idea, because the only information I get here is that the man has hair, that he has eyes, and that he's not naked, basically. So the reason why I wanted to sense color is because it's a social element. I didn't want to change my sight, because seeing in grayscale has many advantages. I have better night vision, for example. I can detect camouflages more easily, because many of these camouflages are based in color. Also, I can see longer distances, because color doesn't interfere with my perception of distance. And photocopies are cheaper in black and white. So this was always an advantage. So I didn't want to change my sight, but I wanted to have a sense of color. That's why when I was studying music, I decided to start a project based on Isaac Newton's theory. Centuries ago, he created the theory relating color and sound, and he was right. Color and sound have something in common. They're both frequencies. Color is a light frequency, sound is an audio frequency. So there is a relationship between them. So in 2003, I decided to start a project with a friend to create a technological system that would allow us to hear the vibrations of color. Red, for example, travels at 420 millions of waves per second. If we could hear these waves, we would hear a note between F and F sharp. So we created an electronic system that allowed me to suddenly hear the frequencies of color. These are the sounds, the notes of each color. So we created a system composed with a webcam, a pair of headphones, and a 5-kilo computer in 2003. And then this allowed me to start hearing the colors around me. So I memorized the sound of each color. So I was able to distinguish colors through sound. When I was able to sense all the visual spectrum, I didn't see why I should stop there. There's many more colors that exist that the human eye cannot sense. So I included infrareds and ultraviolets. So I could also hear ultraviolets and infrareds. So that suddenly allowed me to sense more colors than a human. For example, infrareds allowed me to know if there's movement detectors in a room, so I can tell if the alarms are on or off in a shop or in a bank, and in many cases they are off. So it's interesting to know that some of these detectors are not working. Ultraviolet perception allows me to know if it's a good day or a bad day to sunbathe. So if I sense high level of ultraviolet, I avoid the sun or I put some sun cream. So I didn't want to use technology as a tool, and I didn't want to use it as a wearable technology. I wanted this system to become a body part. So I thought that the best way would be to design a third eye that would be implanted in the middle of my head, and this eye would allow me to hear colors. But then I thought that this was maybe not good, because that would limit my color perception to what I have in front. So then I thought of designing an antenna implant that would allow me to perceive colors 360 degrees. So I could look somewhere, but I could be sensing the colors of the sky. So I designed the antenna, and basically when it was finished, I went to the doctor and I said I wanted to have an antenna implanted in my head. And he said, sorry, we don't do this here. But I presented the antenna surgery to a bioethical committee, and they said it was not ethical to have this antenna implanted in my head for 3 reasons. One, because it's not a pre-existing body part, it's not a leg and it's not an arm, so they didn't find it ethical to have an antenna implanted in a human, because it's not a human sense or a body part. Also, because it includes infrareds and ultraviolets, they said it's not ethical to sense infrareds and ultraviolets because that's not a human sense. And the third reason, they were extremely worried about the reaction that people would have if someone came out with an antenna sticking out of the head from the hospital. So they said no to the surgery, but they helped me find a doctor willing to do the surgery. And we did the surgery with an anonymous doctor. So this is my head facing down, and my head was drilled 4 times so I could feel the vibrations of color inside my bone. So the antenna now picks up the vibration of color. It sends the vibration inside my bone, and the vibration allows me to hear the color inside my head. There's also another implant, which is internet connection, that allows me also to receive colors from other sensors, not only from the antenna, but I can also connect my head to other sensors and receive colors far away from my body. So the antenna and my head took 2 months to merge, so now the antenna is part of my skeleton. So I'm also officially taller now because this is part of my body, and I had to get used to the height. I use the internet connection to receive colors from 5 different people. There's 5 people that have permission to send colors to my head. I see this as the internet of senses, how we can start using the internet as a sense or a sensory extension. So now I'm here in Athens, but if my friend from Melbourne wants to send colors to my head, he can do it right now. So I could suddenly be sensing the colors of a sunset in Melbourne. Or if they send colors when I'm sleeping, then they wake me up. Or they can color my dreams. So if someone starts sending yellow when I'm sleeping, my dream might suddenly become yellow, or a banana or a lemon might appear in my dreams. So my friends can actually color my dreams, or they can alter my dreams. And I see this as something we'll start seeing much more in the 2020s, how the internet will not only be used as a communication system or a tool, but also as a sense or a sensory extension. I can also use the internet to connect to NASA's International Space Station, and when I do this, my sense of color is no longer on Earth, and I can start sensing colors from space. I see this as becoming a senstronaut, how we can send our senses to space and explore space without having to physically go there. This is not AI, this is AS. I didn't want technology to give me intelligence. I didn't want to create an artificial intelligence device or organ. I wanted to create an artificial sense. If the antenna was telling me the names of colors, that would be AI, but the antenna is not telling me the names of colors. The antenna is allowing me to sense the vibration of color, and then it's up to my brain to create the intelligence or not. So I think we will also be seeing in the future many more projects related to artificial senses and not only artificial intelligence. And the reality in which I live now is not virtual reality or augmented reality. I call it revealed reality. Technology is allowing me to reveal a reality that already exists, but that the human body cannot sense. This is an MRI scan of my brain, so now I feel no difference between the software and my brain. That's why I define myself as a cyborg, because I feel that I'm technology. I'm not using or wearing it. I feel that I am technology. I feel no difference between the software and the brain. And that's what I tried to explain to the UK government in 2004, because they didn't allow me to renew my UK passport. They said there was a problem with the photo and that I should change the photo and no electronic devices on the picture. I replied saying that this is not an electronic device. I am not wearing an antenna. I have an antenna in the same way that I'm not wearing a nose. I have a nose. And I told them that the antenna should be considered a body part. In the end, they allowed me to appear in the 2004 passport with the first antenna prototype. And this allows me to travel freely in security controls. I am now in conversations with the Swedish government because the materials that I used to create the antenna are Swedish. So I'm telling them that I am Swedish because part of my body is Swedish. So I think I should be allowed to become a Swedish citizen because I am biologically Swedish. They still haven't replied, but hopefully they will say something soon. I see all this as cyborg art or cyborg design, the art of designing yourself, the art of designing what senses and organs you want to have as a species. And I think we'll see much more of this coming soon. Some of the changes it has is that now, for example, hearing color allows me to dress in a way that it sounds good. I can decide what notes to wear, so I can dress in C major, in A minor. I can design clothes so that it sounds like a melody, like this tie. When I look at it, I can hear electronic music. So the longer the tie, the longer the music. I have to make changes in fashion accessories. So the more people that become cyborgs, the more changes there will be in fashion. There will be what we will call cyborg fashion, so clothes adapted to people with new organs and new senses. In my case, I have to make holes in hats. Otherwise, there's no way of allowing me to have a hat. And we will see other body parts, new body parts that will bring new fashion accessories. Hearing color also allows me to paint what I hear. It's not only that color becomes sound, but sound also becomes color. So this is, for me, a painting that I did of music. This is Mozart's Queen of the Night, note by note, from the middle to the end. So when I look at this painting, I actually hear Mozart's Queen of the Night. And this is Baby Baby by Justin Bieber, which looks very different from Mozart. Speeches can also be transposed into color, because when we talk, we use different frequencies, so you can also visualize different speeches. And food is also a big change, because now I can compose music with food. So I've collaborated with several restaurants where you can go to the restaurant and ask for a specific song, and then it's served on this chromophone where the food is placed on this plate, you rotate the plate, and then you can hear the color of the food. So you can eat different songs. You can have some Vivaldi as main dishes or some Lady Gaga dessert, so you can choose which songs you want to eat. So this allows me now also to compose music by looking at things. Instead of playing an instrument, I can compose music simply by looking at different colors, and this allows me to create color concerts. So it's allowing us also to compose music by visual elements, not only by instruments. And also the way I sense art has changed. Museums are now concert halls for me, and for anyone that wants to sense an extra layer in a painting, by hearing color, it allows you to hear the masterpieces. So all painters have become composers. I can listen to a Picasso or a Salvador Dali, and it's changed the perception of art itself, because each painter sounds different. Also, the way I sense people has changed, because when I look at someone's face, I can hear the colors of their face. So I like creating sound portraits, where instead of drawing someone's face, I write down the notes of someone's face, and then I send them an MP3 of their face. One of the first sound portraits I did was of Prince Charles. I asked him if I could listen to his face, and this was his reaction when I asked him. We all sound different, like Judi Dench has silent hair, for example. James Cameron has a very high-pitched sound of skin. Bono has one note less because he has no hair, so he sounds less than other people. Marina Abramovic sounds very low frequencies. Macaulay Culkin sounds C major, so it's unusual to find C majors. Iris Apfel has a very high-pitched sound of eyes. Robert De Niro has a melody in his lips because he has different shades of red. And Philip Glass sounds extremely microtonal, and Bono had very loud glasses here. So we all have a specific soundscape. We all sound different, even twin brothers. What really shocked me, though, is that people who say they're black, they're not black, and people who say they're white, they're not white. People who say they're black, they're actually very, very dark orange, and people who say they're white, they're actually very, very light orange. So the fact that people say that humans are black and white is completely false. We are all orange. This is a face concert as well. You can create rhythms with people's faces. So usually I ask the audience to cue, and then I start creating rhythms and music with the faces of the audience. So if the concert sounds really bad, it's not my fault, it's their fault, because that's where the music is coming from. The last face concert I did was of Prince Albert II of Monaco, and he likes the sound of his face so much that he's using it as his ringtone. So whenever someone calls him, he hears the sound of his face. So when I started this project in 2003, we had no idea if it would go wrong or not wrong. There were two possible risks. One was body rejection, that my body would reject the material. It didn't happen. And the second one was that my brain could reject the new sensory input. And it didn't either. It took some time of adaptation, but my brain got used to it. What I wasn't ready for was social reaction. I've been stopped every single day of my life since 2004 from people asking what this is. In 2004, most people thought it was a reading light, so they asked me if I could turn on the light. In 2005, people thought it was a microphone, a flexible microphone. In 2007, people thought it was a hands-free telephone, so people thought I was on the telephone. In 2009, people thought it was a GoPro cam. People thought I was filming my life, so they would wave at me thinking that I was filming them. In 2012-13, many people thought I had something to do with Google Street View and that I was streaming the streets. In 2015, many children asked me if this was some kind of selfie stick attached to my head. And in 2016, many people shouted at me, Pokemon, and they tried to catch me. So it's changed what people think. Hopefully in the 2020s, people will just think it's a new sensory organ, and we will see more people with new organs in the street. In 2010, I created the Cyborg Foundation with Moon Rivas to create new organs and new senses in community. And we've done several projects. Moon Rivas has earrings that allow her to feel the speed in front of her. So depending on the interval, she can feel the exact speed of any moving object in front of her. Also, if you use these earrings at the back, you can actually sense what's behind you. So these earrings also allow you to sense what is happening behind you. So this is a sense that we are giving to machines, that we can have it ourselves as well. We can start giving ourselves the senses that we've been giving to cars and to machines. Also, she has 2 implants in her feet that allow her to feel the seismic activity of the world. So whenever there's an earthquake in the world, she feels a vibration in her body. So she has like 2 heartbeats, her own and the earth beat. She now also has a new implant in her feet that allows her to feel the moonquakes. So whenever there's seismic activity on the moon, she feels a vibration in her feet. So she's also a sensonaut. In the 20th century, we saw how humans went to the moon. But on the 21st century, we can see how the space comes into our bodies. Instead of physically traveling to space, we can send or receive what's happening in space into our bodies. Like in the case of Moon Rivas, she feels moonquakes without being on the moon. So that's a new way of exploring where we are in space. We also created bioluminescence teeth. So it's a tooth that when you have it here, you click, and then you have emergency light in your mouth. So I had it for a while, but the problem is that when you eat, the light goes on and off, so it's a bit distracting. But it's basically a simple tooth with a LED inside that allows you to have bioluminescence. Many species can create light in total darkness. We also created another tooth in Brazil. A tooth was installed in my mouth, and another tooth was installed in Moon's mouth. And whenever I click, she feels a vibration in her mouth, and whenever she clicks, I receive a vibration in my mouth. We both learned the Morse code, so depending on the rhythm, we can actually send words to each other and communicate from mouth to mouth. We call this the transdental communication system, and we demonstrated it in Sao Paulo, and it works. It actually works through Bluetooth, so it's a Bluetooth tooth that allows you to communicate from mouth to mouth. Last year, we started a Transspecies Society. It's based in Barcelona. We are giving voice to non-human identities, people who do not feel human, who feel cyborg, or who feel other species, or who don't feel 100% human. We are giving them voice, and we are creating labs to create these new senses. One of them is Manel Munoz. He has a sense now that he's developing, and it will be implanted next year, that allows him to feel the weather. So if there's rain coming, he feels it coming before any other person. Also, if there's a storm, he will feel. So he has a high level of sensitivity for weather. And we are now also developing the sense of time, which will be implanted in my head. And it's a point of heat that will take 24 hours to do the complete circle. So I will feel the rotation of the Earth in my body. And the aim is to take Albert Einstein's theory of time relativity into practice, to see if we have an organ for the sense of time, we should be able to modify our perception of time in the same way that we have an organ for the sense of sight and we are able to create optical illusions. If we have an organ for the sense of time, we should be able to create time illusions. So this is going to give me a point of heat that will slowly go around the head. And for many years, my brain will get used to the 24-hour cycle. And when the brain gets used to it, I want to start modifying the speed in which the point of heat goes around to see if I feel that time is stretching or time is going a bit faster. So if it works, we will be able to modify our own perception of time and decide how long we want to be in a place or how long we want to feel that we are in a specific space. Also, travel in time if we have this. So basically, we are in a moment in time where we can start deciding who we want to be as a species. We are the first generation that can actually merge with technology, and I think it's something we shouldn't be afraid of. For thousands and thousands of years, we have been designing the planet, we've been changing the planet in order to survive, and this should stop. We should stop changing the planet, and we should start changing ourselves. If we all had night vision, all these lights would be off. We wouldn't be spending so much energy creating artificial light if we all had night vision, so we wouldn't create light when it's dark. We should be able to see in total darkness. If we could control our own temperature, we wouldn't use heaters in the winter, and we wouldn't use air conditioning in the summer. We wouldn't change the temperature of the planet if we could control our own temperature. So the more we design ourselves, the better it will be for the planet, and the better it will be for us. So I think that we should all embrace this, what is already happening, which is that we are now starting to be able to design ourselves as a species. Thank you very much.
Can I ask for a favor?
Yes.
Can Can you tell me how my face sounds? Thank you very much. I asked Neil if he can tell me how my face sounds.
Okay. Well, maybe if you can play the notes, maybe. So mi, his lips are mi, the note mi. La, your eyes, mi la.
Μιλά.
F sharp, fa sus. And then, well, the hair is silent, so so you have three notes: A, E, and F sharp.
Thank you
You
very
sound
much.
interesting.
Is it?
Yeah, you sound mysterious.
Ah, thank you. Thank you very much.